And hello, welcome in. This is Magi. We're playing some Power Wash Sim today, which I haven't played in a while. I played some yesterday and figured, hey, this might be great to just talk through. We could just talk about stuff, and that might be something I do. A friend of mine is doing it, actually, doing a similar thing with Hardspace Shipbreaker, which is a game I love and I want to play more of again sometime. But yeah, for anyone that doesn't know what this game is, it's tedious. No, it's a game where you power wash everything. And oh geez, this is a lot. Let's just start somewhere, you know? And I've never explained to you what kind of compound they use for structures such as these. No. Please, tell me more. Yeah, today I don't know. I've been doing YouTube for a while now. A little while. Not too long. Just also not long. Too short. Whatever. Um, basically, I like chatting a lot during it and rambling and going on weird tangents and whatnot. And I do that a lot with streaming, which is cool. I think people like that. And I kind of been leaning into this sort of sleep or eat content, you know, stuff you watch while you're eating or sleeping or when you go to bed and everything to fall asleep to, or to just chill and have, like, I don't know, a good time with, you know. You don't want to think when you eat or sleep, you just want to have something in the background noise essentially, you know. I've been kind of leaning into that, and that's because I do that myself. I watch videos when I go to sleep, you know, and I fall asleep to them. And then in the next morning, I wake up and I'm like, YouTube, why did you recommend me this now? It's weird stuff. But it's fine. I think it's good stuff, you know. I've been sleeping better than ever since I started doing that, you know, falling asleep to a video and turning off autoplay. Because then my phone would turn off after a while and wouldn't get its battery drained all the way, and then my alarm would also go off in the morning because there's battery and stuff, and oh, that's satisfying. And yeah, a while ago I did do these videos on a game called Talented, which we'll play more of as well on the channel. This gate, oh, there we go. Where is... Aha! And during those Talented videos, some of you might remember, we ended up just chatting about all sorts of stuff, and we'd often go on weird tangents together. Or rather, I would go on weird tangents and people would comment on it. I really enjoyed that, but also I would get absorbed in the game, you know, because it's still like a roguelike and whatnot, and I would comment on that. And there's people that would probably... There was someone that left a very mean comment on it because I kept talking about stuff that isn't important, and they didn't understand, like, what my thought process was for the game, which is fair, but the comment was pretty rude, so I ended up deleting it. Or rather, it's just still in moderation. It's not like I delete comments. Most of the time it's just that if they're super rude or something like that, you know, there's no inherent value in keeping them around. You know, in the worst case, someone might try to defend me, and I don't know, say weird stuff or be rude themselves, and that's bad. Don't do that. So to prevent that, you know, I just withheld it from moderation, which is, I think, is fine. It's, I think, in my God-given right. I'm not sure if it's God-given, you know, but my rights given by YouTube. I guess that's sort of God in the context of YouTube. You know, the company that you upload the videos to is sort of your God. And if they tell you that you can do something, you can do it. You've got that right. But no, I eventually stopped doing that because I just didn't have the time. And lately I've been having more time, or I've been making more time to upload stuff onto here, and it's been nice and fun and everything, but I just needed something where I can vent and go on weird tangents with, and I hope that people like this as something that is sort of regular, maybe weekly, maybe something along those lines, maybe more than weekly. We'll see how it goes, you know. Let me know how often you'd like to see stuff like this, or hear, I guess. Anyways, so Power Wash, cool game. A while ago, when I was more active as a blogger, the developers reached out to me and wanted me to play the game. And I just didn't find the time to do it, so I never got back to them. But as a result, they, you know, eventually the game... I also wasn't sure if the game would be any fun. Because I have this issue with, like, the tediousness of games sometimes, you know, when you do repetitive things a lot. And I struggle with that. But no, Power Wash is pretty great. I actually like it a lot, and I had to buy it then afterwards because, oh, boo-hoo, I had to buy the game and support the developers. Oh no, woe is me. Like, I don't mind really, like, it's more so that I could have gotten it for free, and I didn't. And that's fine. I do feel bad for getting so many games for free as is. Like, developers reach out all the time. I'm like, you know... But I've not really been in the mood to write a blog post about it. And I have, like, no obligation to do it either. Or anything like that. It's not like it's my job or anything. So, in the end, what I end up doing is that now that I'm a bit more active on YouTube and stuff, I might get back to, like, showcasing a lot of indie games on here. We've done it here and there with different roguelikes, mostly roguelikes. I will maybe include some gameplay, and when I write a review, I can just point to a gameplay and be like, yo, if you want to see what the game looks like and stuff, you know, in motion, like, outside of, like, just screenshots and stuff, you know? I've got some gameplay over here. With commentary and stuff. I think that might be a good idea. It was sort of the idea anyways, like that YouTube is an extension to the blog and an extension to my Twitch channel. Just move that out of the way. And as such, I don't know, I've had like an interview that I posted on here, but a lot of developers don't actually want to do like video interviews, and instead only do like, or they don't want to do it with me, and instead they stick to like written ones because it's better, like scheduling wise. If I just send them the questions and they answer, and then I turn it into a blog post. I've done in-person interviews with people at the Gamescom, and I'm not sure actually if I'll be there. I want to be there this year, but I still haven't bought tickets because my funds have been in a precarious spot for quite a while now. But yeah, as it stands, like, you know, interviews are work, you know, especially when you have to transcribe them and everything, you know, it just takes a while. So if I go to a Gamescom this year, and if I do interviews again, I will ask less open-ended questions, you know? Keep, like, high quality, but, like ask a few very good questions, basically, rather than a ton of questions that I'll never get to transcribe, because, like, a 7-minute interview takes easily, like, half an hour to transcribe, depending on how fast I am. By transcribing, I mean, like, not transcription as in, like, IPA and stuff, and writing down the vowels and whatnot, but, like, or how to pronounce stuff, but more so, like, the turning it into a written thing. I'm not sure if that's the same word, transcribing in that context and transcribing in the other, but I see it used similarly. or understood similarly. So, you know, just in case, I may study English studies, and I may be into linguistics, but I'm not doing that. It's going to take far longer. Just typing out what people said and then putting it into blog post format, it is work. It's a lot of work. And it takes a lot of time. Time I don't have. And then it's tedious, and then I drag it around, and then I stop doing it, you know. And once something becomes work, you know, I stop doing it as much. And that's not because I'm lazy or anything like that. I am lazy. It's just that when I do something that... Like, I lose all passion all of a sudden, you know, once I notice how tedious and how much work something is that I don't even get paid for, or that doesn't even reward me in any specific way, you know? Like with blog posts, I've written, like... I've done daily posts for quite a long time. I had a very long streak on that front. And you know, it was fun. And I would write a blog post at the end of every day. And it would help me sleep better, because even though I couldn't get like... And that's something called faux productivity. Even though I couldn't get everything done in the day, I was able to rest assured because at least I got a blog post done. Which is, you know, it helps a bit with like your sleep quality and whatnot, and taking your mind off things. And in the worst case, you just ramble in a blog post about stuff, or finish a review or something like that, you know. And I did that like daily for a year or two. I don't know, something along those lines. I think it was 744 days or something like that was the streak. But eventually it just became like too much of a hassle. I noticed that I more and more often had to like stress over it, you know. I just created stress, even though it's a hobby, you know. I ended up being very stressed out from it, you know. Oh, what do I write about? Oh, I'm going to be away for a few days, I won't be able to write here. What shall I do? And then I would have to schedule posts for the next few days and stuff. And that took work and was more stressful, because I also had the daily blog posts for each day where I would be busy scheduling posts. I had to worry about those, and it just created a lot of pressure that was unnecessary. And I eventually stopped doing it because I noticed that I had to more and more often cheat by writing a blog post and then scheduling it back by an hour or something like that to be live at 23:59, you know, on the previous day, to keep my streak. Because suddenly it wasn't about blogging or blogging daily, it was about keeping this streak. And that's sort of the pressure that you add onto yourself, and it kills any passion you might have for anything you do. And I don't like that. And that's sort of what I mean by once something becomes tedious, once something becomes stuff, I drop it. I stop doing it. I stop liking doing what I'm doing. Is there another ambulance? There's been a lot of those lately. I think that's also like a problem with a bunch of like other like content creation platforms, places, you know? Like with YouTube, like with blogging. Okay, let's start with blogging. With blogging, you write a blog post, people read it or view it, And as a result, you're motivated because you see the number go up, and that's inherently satisfying. And when you write a blog post on multiple days, like consecutively, the website WordPress will say, "Oh, you reached an achievement. You have written for this amount of days in a row. Keep up the great work." So you want to be praised, and you get motivated to do more. And the more consecutive posts you write, and the more often you present the world with good content, the more views you get. Like, genuinely, it's like that easy. You just do more stuff, you're consistent, and not just in quality, but also in quantity. You just gotta keep up at it, and people will read some posts more than others, but overall, the number goes up the more you write. It's pretty easy, if you think about it, It's very hard, very easy to understand. There's obviously an algorithm and stuff as well with blogging and writing online. But if you write for a whole year, every single day, a blog post, even if it's not SEO friendly, like search engine optimization and stuff like that, chances are you'll amass like a few thousand views every month. Especially if you write posts that are similar to like a specific niche or a specific topic, Like if you had a blog post that is just about roguelikes, it would, and all posts were about that would be successful. You would have some levels of success with that. Now, turning that into money is a problem because ads suck. I think this part belongs to that wall as well. I was confused about that, but yeah. No, that makes sense. But yeah, when it comes to blogging, that's basically what that is. And also, if you want to get into blogging, there's a Discord called the Bloggers Community. Just look up Bloggers. Blaugust. Bloggers. It's an event that happens yearly, you could say. It means the same thing. And you basically use it, it's an opportunity to, like a challenge of sorts, you try to go for as many blog posts in the month of August as you want, And you can join after the fact as well, and just participating in it is enough, It's on an honor system, and it's very cool because you get to know other people, you get to read a lot of cool blog posts by a bunch of new people and veterans and whatnot, and it's a lot of fun. I genuinely recommend joining if you have an interest in writing. It's pretty darn nice. But yeah, bloggers is a thing. Fantastic, we got that wall. Where was I? Right, so... And you can get advice in the Discord community too, and talk to a bunch of people. We sometimes play games. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, what I wanted to say was essentially that blogging is kind of simple in that regard. Just writing regularly will yield results, But on Twitch, for instance, streaming regularly or streaming every single day will not yield the same results. You won't get suddenly more viewers the more you stream, In fact, it might be counterintuitive to stream. Like if you stream a lot, people might tune in less. With YouTube, it's the same, just uploading regularly helps, but it is not a guarantee to success, etc. And I know I sound like I have success, but no, I don't. But also, this is just a hobby, I'm happy that some people like to watch my videos and comment on them. And I'm very happy whenever people comment, by the way. Because I love hearing people's thoughts on a plethora of topics, even if it's small interactions, And I hope that some people enjoy what I do, and that it makes their day a bit happier, or gives them something to look forward to, at least something to sleep with, while it plays in the background or on their side, Stuff like that. That's sort of my definition of success right now. And in that regard, you know, I am successful, I guess, because some people watch my stuff and the bar is pretty low. Some people comment, and that makes me very happy, and then I, you know, am motivated to do more. But inherently, when it comes to, like, chasing views and stuff, you know, that's bad, I think. If you want to do something as a hobby, and you suddenly measure your levels of success based on not something that you personally do, like a personal skill that you developed. Like, for instance, I play ukulele sometimes. And knowing how to play a specific chord progression or being faster at switching from an F to a G, for instance, is something that I personally find satisfying, because it means that if I get faster at this thing or better at this other thing, then, or if I know more of a sudden and can play more songs and sing better, you know, that means that I'm improving, you know, I'm not hitting a wall, so to speak. And that's something very, very cool, you know. And I have a long way to go still, obviously. But I also am not practicing that seriously. Let's switch over to the 0 degree nozzle. Because it's more pressure and we get to get rid of the graffiti over here. But when it comes to stuff you like that, you know, I don't know, with YouTube it's kind of weird because you don't, just because you upload something, it doesn't mean that anyone watches it. And maybe I was spoiled a bit, you know? Because with blog posts, it's quite the opposite, you know? Simply uploading something means that someone will probably watch it at some point, you know? Like, simply publishing a post will do that. But that's not the case with YouTube, I've noticed. And at first I found that a bit frustrating. But then I realized that I'm not doing this to get views. Why should I care how many views there are on a video, you know? And yeah. But it's still, it gets demotivating, you know? Like, it's a bit, it's not frustrating, so to speak, but when you publish a video and you notice that less and less people are watching them, you know, you kind of are like, well, maybe I should stop doing this. Maybe people are disliking it, you know? And it happens. With, like, the Call of Cthulhu playthrough, for instance, as well. I will get it back to it eventually. But I mostly stopped because it's, it takes a lot out of me to do it. Because I'm not good with horror games. But also, I love the game. So I want to play more of it, obviously. But I want to... do that, you know? I want to, like, do more of it, out of it, you know? And I need to get into a specific mindset and think of a very specific thing. You know, like, I need to get into the right atmosphere of a game to vibe with it, sort of, so that I can play a role of sorts, you know? And that's sort of what I want to do with that game. And sometimes I'm just not in the mood for it. But I will come back to it eventually. And when I do, I will upload more again. And I will most likely upload like 3-hour videos again. Because, you know, seems more handy. Like just doing that every now and then would be pretty good. Maybe I should get a schedule of sorts for my uploads. Sorry, that was pretty bright. Did I get everything over here? No, not just yet. Let's take care of this over here. And just walk on top of that. There's a ball on that, in that thing. But yeah, But it gets hard. Motivation is difficult. And I think having something to look forward to or setting a specific goal to yourself, you know, that isn't dependent on others, but depending on your own work is a very good thing. So, for instance, rather than saying, okay, I want to have X amount of concurrent viewership on Twitch, or rather than saying, I want to have X amount of followers on Twitch, you know? That's all dependent on other people. It's not dependent on your skill or your level of engagement or anything like that. It's just based on how much others want to engage with your stuff, you know? Like, it doesn't matter at all how much effort you put into it, you know? Those are just numbers, you know? And even if you get bad at what you do, those numbers will eventually go up, you know? So, setting a goal isn't good. Like, setting a goal that is based on other people doing something. Like, you know, I don't know. Imagine if you were doing a job, and suddenly, instead of saying, okay, I want to be better at my job, you know, I want to be able to do this and this better, you know, you instead go around and say, I want to get paid at least twice, or get a payout from my job twice, you know? And now that's dependent on your boss paying you, but it's also not a real goal, you know, not a real goal to work towards, you know? If it was about saving money or something like that, you know, that might be better to have like, oh, okay, I want to do this and this, you know? Something that I am pretty bad at is being punctual. So what I say is that, okay, I'll try to set every appointment that I have to start at 15 minutes early, so that when I'm late, I can be I'm still early, you know? And then like count the amount of times that I'm late and essentially reduce that number. It's what no hit or no death runners do of Souls-like games, you know. They don't restart every single time they do it, but rather they go at it one step at a time and then say, hey, okay, in this section I died 5 times, you know. Obviously this run is not a no-hit run, you know, it's not a success, but in this section I died 5 times last time I did the run, and this time around I've only died 4 times, you know? And over time, they reduce it, you know? And get better at it and all of that. And it's good. It's like practice and everything, you know? But like, if you were to restart every single time, you'd never get to practice the later stages, because you'd always die in the beginning stages. It's less efficient. So with, like, being punctual, you know, rather than saying, okay, I was already unpunctual this week, I'm gonna give up, you know? Or rather than saying, oh, I was unpunctual, but tomorrow I'll be punctual, you know? Something like that, you know? I think it's better to say, okay, this week I was punctual half the time. Next week I want to be punctual more often, you know? And maybe have a percentage, you know? Out of the occasions where I had to be punctual, I was punctual in this amount of stuff, you know. I was there 5 minutes early or 10 minutes early in this amount of cases or opportunities, and I was unpunctual in this amount of cases, you know, and have like a specific like percentage, and trying to reduce the percentage of times when I'm unpunctual, and like increase the amount of times that I am over punctual, you know, like waiting there for 5 minutes beforehand and stuff like that. I think that's very good. I think it helps with keeping yourself motivated to set goals that you can accomplish yourself, that are not reliant on others, but more so on yourself, you know? What that means is that, like, for videos, you know, for me personally, I want to be better at what I do. So I want the audio to be good, which I can check by looking at the settings beforehand, doing a test run, positioning myself well enough, using diaphragmatic breathing techniques and stuff that I know from drama. I can talk about that too, I guess. Alright, if I use the C button, I can aim this thing and don't need to shake the screen a lot. You know, sorry about that. And yeah. But as it stands, you know, another goal of mine is to just upload regularly. If not every day, I want to upload at least every other day. Have a run of something, you know, have something that I talk about, you know. Worst case, upload a little video of me drawing something or whatnot, you know. And that's sort of the goal right now. Just get into a groove of things, notice what I'm doing and doing wrong and whatnot. Explain games. That's something I've not done in a while. When I play Dice Unfold, for instance, I need to explain what the game is about, what I do for, what the goal is, how the game works, etc. I need to do that more often. I keep forgetting about it, you know. When I sign out or when I do my greetings, you know, I fail all the time, but I roll with it, you know. So not only do I want to be better at that, but also I want to not just grab a recording because I made some error somewhere, you know, or at the beginning, you know. Instead, roll with it and do better next time, sort of. That's kind of what I'm doing at the moment. And I'm trying to get better at it, you know, too. I think like setting goals that you can accomplish yourself is very important when it comes to like motivation. When it comes to like motivating yourself to do something, it's important to set goals that are not just accomplishment. Like having a lofty goal that you chase after is commendable, obviously, but you need to have like small steps that you can work towards as well. I think that's very important. Have like little baby steps, something that you can say, oh, having a way to check your progress, you know? By, for instance, something very effective to do that is to essentially have a, I don't know, let's say you have a checklist, the big goal at the top, and then you basically, let's say, okay, big goal at the top. I want to upload regularly to YouTube, or I want to be able to draw backgrounds real well, or I want to be able to play. If I were you, I'd be throwing up by Crywank on the ukulele, you know? And then the step before that is I want to learn the chords for that, you know all of them. And the step, like, no, I want to learn how to do fingerstyle. Let's do that first. Like picking the notes. And then the step before that is I want to learn how to, let me just have some tea real quick. Before that, I want to have this, the chords down. The basic chords. And before that, I need to just get better at strumming patterns. And before that, I do something else entirely, you know? Learn the text, for instance, you know? At least be able to hum it and whatnot. And then that's sort of how it would go, you know, over time. And before long, you know, you cross out the things that you did, you know, and because you have small goals that you work towards, you after a while. Before long, you'll eventually have the have a list that has a lot of goals already struck through. So when you look at the song that you wanted to play on the ukulele, which is If I Were You, I'd Be Throwing Up by Crywank, then you would already be able to tell how much progress you've made, you know? In this case, you know, it doesn't really have chords or tabs, but what it does have is okay, and then there's wait. Something along those lines. No, the way I cast a net, too many holes to swim through, as to not offend the fish, even if they do want you. Safer not to presume, safer still to up and leave the room. Even eye contact rude. You'll never know that I noticed you. Do, 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 do. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. Something like that. Too gutless to even try this. Dun, 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 dun. Case I'm matched with a hostile silence. Dun, 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 dun. If I were you, I'd be throwing up. Or something along those lines. See, and I'm not good at it. As it stands, that's also important to have something where you begin. What if you just record yourself doing something that you do, something that you want to do, you know? Your very first attempt, it's going to be bad. Of course it's going to be bad, you know, because you just started. But then you eventually have a little status update, you know? You upload yourself or record yourself doing something. I mean, how in the heck do you make a slope out of concrete? You form it, I guess? I don't know. You basically have these updates, you know. You need to be able to track how you've been doing it now, like a photo or a video, depending on what you do, you know. Is pretty darn good at that, you know. It helps with keeping track of your progress. And yeah, the first one is going to be bad. Like, just that right there was bad. You know, don't get me wrong, it was not good at all. But over time, if I were to practice more, I would probably get it down a lot easier. You know, maybe look at a tutorial, maybe make my way through the different chords, you know. You know, maybe learn how to play it on a different instrument, like the piano, for instance, or stuff like that, you know. It's it takes a while, obviously, but having a way to check how much progress you've made, be it a checklist like the one I mentioned before, or another place of sorts another... I don't know, maybe you have a YouTube channel where you upload privated videos of yourself playing the song or doing sit-ups and stuff. And you basically get to see afterwards when you do an update on how you've been doing, you know, you watch the old one and realize, oh, I was already, for sit-ups, I was already out of breath after 10 ones, you know, and I couldn't go on for longer. But now I can go for 100. I don't know, 100 sit-ups without any issues. But then it gets hard, you know? At 110, I have to give up. And then, oh, next time there's an update, you know, you see, oh, this time around I only managed to do 90, but I also wasn't feeling up to it, you know, or stuff like that. And it's just the first attempt that counts, you know? It's just a way to check. It's raining quite a lot outside. But you can't hear it, it's fine. All of a sudden, you get to see like a bit of updates and progress, and you get to keep yourself, hold yourself accountable in a way, you know? And in fact, it might motivate you to outdo your personal best. Which is like, speedrunners have that, you know? Where they have a personal best, you know, displayed as well on the timer. And it helps. So I think what's important is that you have a way to track your progress. And that you have a way to see what you started at and what you have become. How you've improved, essentially, you know? I think that's a very important thing overall. It's, I believe, very important to... Oh, look, that one was fast, you know? It's important to be able to track what you do. Where is my ladder? There's my ladder. What's the matter? Oh, it's my ladder. Ladder. That was stupid. I don't know why I said that. A while ago, I was super shy, and I couldn't talk to anyone. Like, I struggled really with talking on the telephone because it was anxiety-inducing for me, and talking to strangers was really difficult for me as well. And it just took its toll on me, because I was forced to engage with those situations that made me uncomfortable a lot. But then over time, I did, like, drama, for instance. I actively challenged myself to go to cities and, like, to big cities, you know. And while my parents were shopping or when I was there alone, you know, I would then talk to strangers and ask them for directions, even though I really didn't need directions, you know. And at first I was stammering and, you know, stuttering and all of that, you know. I was like, I don't, you know. And then I ran away. I would be too shy to face the embarrassment. But I also realized that I couldn't go any longer with that, you know, because I was, like, getting to a specific age, you know, like, it was 15 or whatever when I really tried to get better at talking to strangers. I struggled, when I was 16, I was still struggled talking to women a lot, you know, but I got much better at talking to male strangers. I think partially that was because I was very self-conscious, but over time I got more and more confident as well. As I amassed experience just talking to people, got my first ever relationship, which was a big confidence boost as well, in a way. And I'm forever grateful to that person for blessing me with the self-confidence that I have today. Like, I never would have had that if it wasn't for my very first girlfriend. Which sounds cheesy, it sounds stupid, it sounds problematic in a way even. But no, it's, I mean it like in a very wholesome way. Like, as in, being told that you're ugly and whatnot, you know, it doesn't help your self-esteem. And I had to deal with that a lot. Being told that I'm ugly, being told that I'm always going to be a virgin. I don't know why people put so much emphasis on being a virgin or not being a virgin. For women, it was a virtue to be a virgin. Oh, this person slept around with a lot of people, whatever, you know. Or this person kissed someone so many times, or with tongue, or whatever, you know. People would do that. But at the same time, if like a dude did that to someone, whoa, you kissed her with the tongue, whoa, you know. What does make that her, you know? Why is it okay if he does it, but like she does it, and it's suddenly a problem, you know? That's something that really bothered me, and I never understood it as when I was younger, you know? And eventually it dawned on me, oh, it's just sexism. No way. No, this wall is fine. This wall isn't fine. I guess it's dirt up here? Yeah. Aha. There we go. As it stands, like... That was something that always bothered me a bit. Like, not too much, because it, like, didn't affect me as much. I mean, for me, like, what affected me was that being called a virgin was, like, sort of this insult, you know? But when I lost my virginity, I didn't feel any different. There was... Oh, there's a cat around, I guess. Where's the cat? I just noticed that's cute. Little paw prints. I didn't feel any different. Like when I played a lot of League at the time. And there were friends that I played with, and they would tell me that you notice when someone is a virgin and when someone isn't, you know? And then I had my very first time with someone. And I asked them, do you notice a difference about me? And they said no. And I said, well, I'm no longer a virgin. And they said, well, cool, I guess. I don't know. Nobody cared. Because nobody actually put any, importance on me being or not being a virgin. You know, nobody cares about that. Like, what do you do in your bedroom is just for you, you know. What do you want to do? Bragging is stupid, you know? And all of a sudden, I felt stupid for even asking that, you know? But they put so much importance on it beforehand, or rather, I don't know, they just acted a certain way. It was very, I don't know, it was stupid. And I remember, like, people in my class would still call me a virgin and insult me like that. But I just laughed at them because it was like, first of all, I didn't feel any difference, so it must be not that much of a difference, you know? And second of all, I knew they themselves were virgins, probably. Because only a virgin would put so much emphasis or importance on their virginity, or someone else's virginity, you know? So what I'm trying to get at is that that's stupid. This is a stupid way of signaling some levels of importance, you know? And the same with like likes and followers and whatnot. Like followers don't matter shit. Like on Twitch, for instance. Or like they don't indicate quality. Like, if you have 1,100 followers, like me, for instance, that doesn't mean that my stream is better or worse than yours, you know? I know plenty of people that have, like, 700 followers that are just better than me at what they do. And a lot of people don't realize that, so a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on followership and the numbers, you know, those numbers. Even if you have a high level of, like, viewership, like high viewership, I don't know, like 100 viewers or whatever, it doesn't mean that your content is better or worse than others, you know? It just means that you have a high level of viewership. And that's what I mean, like, by that one shouldn't set goals based on numbers, you know, that are not set up by yourself. Like, if you have a percentage of how many times you were late in a week and how many times you were punctual, you have a number that you set yourself, that you're responsible for yourself. But something like viewership or followership, etc., or the amount of likes you get, is not dependent at all on your own skill. You know, of course, a better video will, for instance, get more likes and more views, you would say, but there's still plenty of essays out there, video essays by people that don't get as many. And that sucks. So rather than promoting, like, I don't know, metrics as like a measurement of quality, you know, I think we should stop doing that and ourselves instead set goals and milestones that are based on our skill, you know? Like, me being able to edit a video, because I still have the VODs from me playing Shadow of the Colossus and Sonic Adventure DX. I wanted to do, like, an essay style on those games, on Soma, and whatnot, you know, edit it together, like, I don't know, 24 hours or something like that we played of Shadow of the Colossus. Edit those together. Same with the Mage Seeker. Have, like, parts set up and whatnot, you know. I want to... Soma, Sonic Adventure DX, Cryptmaster. Games that we played, you know. I want to edit them and upload them to YouTube, you know? And that's gonna be something I want to get better at. I suck at editing. Like, my editing is alright, you know? But lately, I've just been uploading videos as is. I have not been editing them at all. Which is something I should do, but I hate how slow my PC gets when rendering, and it fails and whatnot, and I don't know what to do then, you know? And it's something I struggle with DaVinci Resolve, you know? And I know a lot of other people are also struggling with the same stuff in that program. But I also don't have, like, other programs that I could use that would be much better or worse. But yeah, I just need to get better at skills that are required for editing. Like, for instance, hear me out, storyboarding. Having writing a script, you know, looking through the content I've watched that I made and taking notes on when I did what, etc. When is a moment that I want to highlight, etc. You know. For the Sonic Adventure DX video, I wanted to do something similar to what Alpha Red, a YouTuber that I like to watch a lot, does, where he writes a script about him playing through a game for the first time, for instance, or doing something, a challenge run of sorts, or something like that, you know? I like those videos a lot, so I want to make something like that myself as well, because I look up to Alpha Red, and his creativity, and the way he shows himself, like, his humor, and his, like, he seems like a very kind person too, you know? And that's something that doesn't necessarily get across from other videos and YouTubers and whatnot, you know, but for his streams and videos, you know, big fan. So, what I'm trying to get at is that sometimes we pay too much attention to, like, specific things that don't mean anything, that don't matter at all. Let's work on this, I guess. You know, we pay attention to those and add some sort of value to it, you know? Like, oh, eating chocolate is bad because it's unhealthy, you know? And eating a carrot is good because it is healthy. But in reality, while it is true that one is healthy and one is unhealthy, in reality, there's no such thing as a food that is good or bad, like ethically, you know? Like, the ethics of food are an interesting topic, you know, where people, they just pay attention to that, like what you eat and what not, you know, and they judge you based on what you eat. But in reality, like, if someone works out a lot and then has a cheat day meal, you know, why is that so bad? There we go. Railing done. Let's do the stairs next. But like, being a virgin is bad when you're a man, but it's good when you're a woman. But at the same time, it doesn't add up, because you would like to have one be that and the other that, you know. You would have a lot of men. You would need men to be gay and lose their virginity that way. And I don't think that's what they mean when they talk about that. When they mean virginity, they don't mean that. And it's very straight-coded, first of all. Second of all, very stupid and childish, you know? And I think it is important to get away from that, you know? For whatever reason, we pay a lot of attention to that. And something that shows as well in, like, anime and whatnot, you know? Where people pay a lot of attention to that and get bullied by being called names and whatnot. And it's not even just, like, it used to be like that, but nowadays still like that. A while ago, when I had a job at a school, I've seen someone get bullied and called names. And when I tried to help them, you know, they talked to me and everything, and they said that everyone calls him a virgin. And I said, well, there's nothing wrong with being a virgin. You know, it doesn't matter at all. Like, even, like, especially as a guy, like, how are people supposed to tell that you're a virgin, you know? You can tell them that you're not. And they will ask you, oh, really? Explain. And then when you explain, you know, that you're not, and how you're not, or who you did it with and everything, you're a creep. So just ignore them, you know? And most of them will not even know what being a virgin means. They will just act as if they know what that means, but they don't know actually. And they will find it yucky, you know? Most of them don't like girls even yet, you know? Or boys. Or non-binary pals. I don't know. Children are weird. The upper floor. But this counts as one thing. Well, we'll take care of this then. So, long story short, we place value in things that doesn't matter at all, like, you know. And our life's worth isn't dictated by those things, or those qualities, you know? Like, being a kind person, you know, doesn't yield you the same, applause, I guess, as, being a bad person, you know? Like, oh, this guy has a lot of money and drives all the expensive cars and whatnot. Cool. But what does he do to get there, you know? People won't question it necessarily, you know? With food as well, like, people will watch what you eat and whatnot, but they will judge you for what you eat, or they will judge you for what you wear, but they don't ever question why they do so, you know? Like with grooming, women are judged for having body hair when it's completely natural. In fact, shaving as a woman was only popularized by Gillette because they realized that women don't shave and they could sell a lot more by not just getting pink razors, you know, first of all, but also, second of all, by making it so that women should shave as well. So they started with that and started creating this idea of women having to shave as well. And as a result, you know, women had to do that or did that, and suddenly there's more expenses and more profits for a company, you know? You see this? There's a lot of grime here and mud splats. And when skaters drive on that, that's called grinding. That one was terrible. You could hear the silence. You know, I could hear the silence coming from your screen, you know. I'm watching you right now. All of you. Fred, please put on some trousers. Thank you, thank you. No, but all that aside, you know, like placing a value in something that doesn't hold an inherent value, like a quality, you know, like being a good, kind-hearted person, you know, I'm not sure if that's valued as much these days, you know. Would people agree to that or disagree to that? That a person that is kind, that is good to aspire to be that, you know? I'm not sure. Do people put more more emphasis on material values, you know? Having a house, having an expensive car, etc., you know? Because I know that for a long time it was just like that, you know? It was like all about having the most expensive car or the most expensive shoes, you know? Status symbols, you know? People paid more attention to that than they did to the actual qualities of people. Quarter pipe, skate park floor. Okay, these are different things. And nowadays it's very virtual, you know. It's still there's like still lots of people that, hey, I've got one heck of a filthy sidecar. If you can fit us in, I can run it up to you if that helps. Sounds great. Sue Berry. If there's one thing I know about concrete, it's that it likes to be as flat as possible. Cool. But like, yeah, earlier I said that in anime as well, it's very similar to that. And what I meant by that is not that anime is realistic or whatever. It's more so that in a lot of shows you can see people getting bullied based on that, you know. And those shows are relatable to a lot of people, you know. If they weren't relatable, they wouldn't depict bullying. And they use the same insults they used for me like 10 years ago, you know? Even in newer materials. Or they... It's the same level of lookism, you know? Heightism, fat shaming, etc. It's everywhere. And it hasn't really gotten better, you know? Kids will always act a certain way. Chewing gum. We'll return to that later. Let's take care of this wall, I guess. Let me have some more tea. I don't know. We place values and value in a lot of things, you know. And you might disagree or agree. You know, it depends really on cultural norms, on where you grew up, and you know what your milieu is like, etc. But those change, you know. There's a lot of people that place like I don't know. For instance, it was seen as very mature amongst my family, you know, to drink black tea very strongly. So a lot of children tried to do that, you know, have the black tea instead of drinking it very light, because that's a lot what a lot of women or children would do, you know, and nobody would judge them for it. It's totally understandable. But when you drink it darker, that's why it gets more bitter, more strong as well, you know. And a lot of men would drink it that way. And when men didn't drink it dark like that, they would be judged a lot of the time, you know? Sort of. Or at least people would make fun of them, you know? And especially in rural contexts, you know? I'd imagine that it's not so much in, like, more urban contexts, but in the case of those other for context of a, like, I don't know, in the context of like a rural area, being able to endure the bitterness, you know, and this and whatnot of that tea was seen as manly in a way, you know, and it's very silly, obviously, but it's just something that ended up happening that I've observed, and over time I ended up drinking my tea that way too, and that even though I wasn't too old, you know, I was pretty young at the time when I started drinking my tea like that, but I just did it because my parents did it. And then, but I also liked it a lot that way, you know, I liked it more bitter and everything. Meanwhile, having a sweet tooth was seen as odd for men, you know, but it wasn't judged really all that much. But having a sweet tooth as a woman, that was seen very differently, because sweetness or like chocolates, confectionaries, I don't know, what are they called? Confections. There we go. Chocolates, sweets, etc. They're seen as a bad thing, you know, because they're unhealthy or whatever, you know. Oh, you're indulging too much. Oh, you're doing this, or oh, you're gonna gain weight, etc. Gaining weight is seen as a bad thing as well. Well, look at me. I'm underweight at the moment, and that's bad. And I need to gain more weight. Being too thin is seen as bad for men, but for women, not so much, which is bad because underweight and anorexia, you know, stuff like that is a big problem as well in society. But people forget about that. People keep thinking only about obesity, for instance, you know, and never think about anorexia or other forms of eating disorders, you know, that are very terrible and can take a heavy toll on humans' bodies, you know? So as a result, I don't know, I feel like we should stop doing that. And, like, you know, pay attention to when we judge something, you know, why we judge something, you know, question ourselves, you know, why is it that I think that this is bad or this is good? There's a video a while ago published by a YouTuber by the name of Illimation, who does like animation and storytime content, sort of, you know. And in one of her videos, she was talking about the ethics of food, you know, and how there isn't good food and bad food, but rather how there's food that is healthy and unhealthy, you know, for you, you know, based on your consumption and your diet and everything, you know. Let's take care of a Grant. There's a lot of people that will judge you based on what you eat. We'll go around the corners here. And that's not based on, oh, they're worried about you or something like that. Most of the time it's just, oh, you're eating it like that, you know. I like spicy food a lot. Nobody judges you for eating spicy food. You know? Or salt. You know, I use more salt than others. people judge others for doing too little, you know? I joke sometimes about the fact that white people, I'm white myself, but I don't know, I see a difference between me and like people from Germany, like Germans, proper Germans, you know, and me with a migration background is like a bit, I'm a bit different, you know? And that's because for all my life, I was told how different I am, you know? And I get to experience, like, you know, it's a different culture as well, you know? Back at home, in my parents' home country, and back at school, you know? Where everything is a bit different, you know, and people eat other food, you know, and when I was at a German friend's home, they would eat pasta with ketchup, and it just doesn't taste like anything, you know. I hate it. Ketchup is actually pretty disgusting in my opinion. In fact, you know, I wouldn't judge someone for liking ketchup, you know, don't get me wrong. I do get it. It probably tastes very good, you know, especially as like, as a condiment that is very sweet, you know, it makes sense that one would like it. I just personally don't like it because it's too sweet for me, you know, it takes away all the flavor out of things, you know? And eating it as like the only thing, you know, like it wasn't even like they had added herbs or salt or anything like that to it. Like their pasta was lacking in salt at that one friend's house, you know? That's not all people's houses, you know, it's just that one singular friend's house that was like that, you know? In my experience. I'm not sure if that's the only one, but I've realized a lot that a lot of people in these households shy away from using salt or too much salt. They add some and they think it's okay, you know, because it's not too much. But in reality, you know, that amount is too little. You know, but they're afraid of adding too much salt, so they always play it safe, I think. Either that, or they just don't have taste. In which case, you know, I'm judging them. But I don't mean that, like, in a harmful way. Like I judge them as in, like, a cultural thing, I guess, you know? And more of like an inside joke between me and other people who also are outsiders, you know? We can band together because our common ground is that Brits and Germans don't know what spices are. And I mentioned Brits here because the one time I was in the UK, we had English breakfast and we had like fish and chips and Witherspoons and stuff, you know, and it sucked. Like they just didn't use salt. For fish out of all things, you know, and fries. What do you mean you don't use enough salt, you know, or don't know how to salt fries? What do you mean? It was pretty bad, especially for the fries, you know. The Witherspoons, I don't know what it's called. For the price, I would have expected, like, the portion was alright, it was just the taste, you know. I had to add a bunch more salt, you know. You know. But I think that's fine. Like, other cultures just use spices and herbs and salts differently. Sometimes not at all. And I think that has its own charm as well. In a way, it's endearing that some people just don't know. But what is a problem is sometimes when they say, oh, your food is too spicy and whatnot, and you literally, when you made the food for them, and I had German friends like that, you know, who said that my food was too spicy, in their opinion. And I made a curry for them, you know, and curry has to have a certain level of spice, but I didn't use anything that is spicy in there, you know. In fact, like, I essentially made it so that the thing is incredibly mild, you know, the curry itself. And I would just add some I would just add some chili paste into my bowl, you know? And some chili flakes on top. you know, to be on the level that I like. And I think that's better. Having spice be an opt-in feature, you know, or having people like add stuff as they like. But I had once like 2 male friends from nearby who studied math with me, and I made food for them, and they said it was too spicy and it was like burning up. And I was like, what do you mean? There's no spice in here. Like, aside from herbs and like some black pepper. There's a black pepper is spicy. They're like, no, it's not. What do you mean black pepper spicy, you know? And they said, yeah, black pepper is spicy. And I said, well, is garlic spicy? And they said, yeah. What? And that was when I was convinced that some people don't know what words mean, actually. You know, spicy. I don't think black pepper is spicy. But that's also because I have a spice tolerance that is higher than most German people, like proper German. You know, both parents completely German, with all their grandparents being German, etc. And yeah. My last girlfriend didn't like spicy food, but over time as I cooked more and more for her, she ended up developing a spice tolerance, you know? So I ended up cranking it up just a bit, here and there, you know? And she liked it even more because it's more flavorful. I end up using more spices and herbs than she did. And as such, she liked it more, you know? And also got used to spicy food more often, you know? Without having like that burning sensation or whatever, you know? And it was really cool to see that. But also it wasn't something I did intentionally. I just added a little bit of red pepper to like food. And over time I just did it normally. Like because she didn't seem to mind. She liked it, you know? It was like, okay, if you want to, you can add some extra, you know? And if you like it that way, I'll do that in the future for the whole thing, you know? To be like that. And over time, you know, I like spicy food, you know? She liked spice. No, I don't know if she liked spicy food, but rather, I think it was more of a case of she got used to it and didn't feel it as much. Which was cool. And yeah, and I really paid a lot of attention to how much salt I was using for her, and how much red pepper, and how much like chilies, how many chilies I use, and what grade chilies, you know, like the spice level and whatnot, you know. Fantastic. Etc. Paid a lot of attention to that. I think it's important we do that. But, I don't know. There's like a lot of people that just don't tolerate that, you know? Or like are very willing to throw away food, you know, especially even if someone went through the effort, through the hassle of cooking for them, you know? And that's something I dislike a lot. And I have relatives like that are like, you know, I don't know. They add salt before even tasting it, which is, in my opinion, before even tasting the food, you know, which in my opinion is disrespectful to the people, like in those cases, like my mother, for instance, you know? She once added some, like onto his plate, she added some, like more salt onto the food, you know, because he likes it that way. And he ended up adding a lot more salt as well, without even tasting it. And then said it was too salty. And then everyone's looking at him and he said, well, you added a lot of salt to your already salted food without tasting it. Do you see where the problem is? No, you made a mistake. He was convinced that, oh yeah, others are at fault, you know? That's sort of where I come back to the judgment, you know? We end up judging, like, there's a saying in Albanian, Mesut e Shqipënies, e këshyrum gabimet e tjerat. Mesut e Lakëricët, e këshyrum gabimet neve. Which translates to, with the eyes of an eagle, we look at we keep watch over the mistakes that others make. But with the eyes of a bat, we look at our own. And I think that's true. Like, we pay a lot more attention to it when other people make mistakes, but when we ourselves make mistakes, be it in communication, be it in, like, our conduct, you know, we don't pay as much attention. We tend to be more lax, and I think that's perfectly normal, you know, in a way, because it's harder to watch your back, you know, unless you're in third person. You can't know what you do, you know, or how it comes across necessarily, unless you are really empathetic, you know, and know really well how others feel around you and whatnot. And a lot of people don't have that, you know, that emotional intelligence that is required for that level of empathy and that level of, like, you know, being able to put yourselves into others' shoes, you know. And it's admirable when people have that or are good at that. But it's not normal by any means. And what ends up happening is that a lot of times, you know, we need other people to correct ourselves, to let us know about stuff, you know? Nice. We need, like, other people to let us know about our mistakes, you know, give us feedback on what we do and how we say things and how we act and whatnot, you know, and that's how we learn. And I think it's perfectly normal to be that way, you know, like, humans only learn through making mistakes, you know, trial and error. You know, you touch a plate that was way too hot, and all of a sudden, you know, oh, that plate was really hot and I need to be careful. And it's through this pain that we learned how plates work, that they conduct heat. Fantastic. Let's take care of the ramp here. But somehow people seem to mistake criticism, like criticizing others, free of judgment, like just giving civilly and respectfully, giving criticism to other people. I think a lot of people are mistaking that for backstabbing or attacking others, you know? A lot of people take it very personal. Which is, in a way, is understandable that you would take it very personal when people criticize you or something that you do in a specific way. But at the same time, it's also not good to take offense in everything that people say and do. Because in the end, words are just words, you know. Words can hurt, of course. But if someone is going out of their way to give you feedback on something, then chances are that you need it and that it's good intentions. And we should probably look, in my opinion, we should look at people in a more good faith manner. You know, like, we should pay more attention to what people say and do without judging them beforehand, you know, because if we judge people beforehand, how are we supposed to get to know them better, you know? Now you hear the rain as well, so you've got the Power Wash ASMR on a rainy day. You're welcome. I'm sure this is plenty better for sleeping. If you're still not asleep by now. While I ramble on about the weirdest stuff. But yeah, I essentially do believe that it's important that we pay more attention to stuff, and if someone is doing something bad, you know, let them know. A while ago, I told someone at university that they've got egg on their face. And they didn't know what that meant. So then I told them, well, Brits tend to say, or not Brits necessarily, but, like, you know, a lot of English-speaking people tend to say that you've got egg on your face if your fly is open, you know, but it's less like, people don't know necessarily what it means, you know? And it's sort of this, it's a way to communicate that without embarrassing someone, you know? And I let them know about that. And they were like, oh, I see, thank you. You know, because it's kind of embarrassing to have your flies open. What do? You know? Sitting at 69% soon. $69. Come on, man. Yay! Nice. 69 completion. Means we're a lot more above, like, you know, we still need to do that, obviously. And this over here. And then there's still these sections and the bench. But we're doing good work here. What I meant to say is, though, that we have to kind of pay attention to what people say and do. But also make sure to, when we criticize people, that we also praise them, you know? And that we do so in a way that is civil and respectful, with our intentions made clear. But I heard a sound. There we go. Just going to divide this into a bunch of subsections. That way, it's less work to go through everything. And here. But what I wanted to get at is that, essentially, when you give criticism to someone, you know, if it's only negative, they end up thinking that we are attacking them, you know? And that's something I had to learn over time as well. It was something that I didn't understand for the longest time, you know? That you need to also praise people like that, you know? When you give feedback, you know, in a presentation, for a presentation and not, you need to give, like, also positive feedback alongside the negative feedback. And that's how people are more willing to listen to whatever you have to say to them or about them. You know? But yeah, a lot of people tend to take offense and stuff like that, and that sucks. I remember a while ago when PewDiePie, I don't know, is PewDiePie still around? A while ago, I used to watch a lot of PewDiePie, and I stopped at some point because his content got very shock humorish, you know, and whatnot, and with no real point or reason to it, and it was a lot of drama and memes that I just didn't find funny, and leaning into a specific type of humor is fine, and people can do that, but just, like, you know, you might alienate the people that don't like that stuff, and I think that's also perfectly valid. It's sort of like the consequence of your actions, you know? Wow. But PewDiePie a while ago had this controversy where he wanted to make a point on how you can make people on Fiverr say literally anything for money, you know? And he made these people from some poor country, like a third world country, he made them hold up a sign saying, well, celebrating and saying death to all, and then a specific minority. I'm not going to mention it because it's bad enough that I'm talking about it. But basically, yeah, anti-Semitism. There you go. There you go. And that's bad, obviously. But his point was that he could make them say literally anything. And he chose an example and ended up showing it and went through the editing and everything, you know, and decided to still eventually upload it. And I'm like, you know, there's like a lot of steps there where you could have asked yourself, hey, is it a good thing to do this? Or is it coming across that this is a joke? or that this isn't my actual beliefs, you know? Like, even as a joke, and that's what he ended up claiming it to be, there is no punchline, you know? What is the punchline? That you're calling for the death of all these people of a specific religion, you know? It makes it kind of sound like a Nazi, you know? Again, not saying that he is. I'm just saying that, you know, it made him sound like one. You know? And a lot of people in the far right were jumping to PewDiePie's defense after that. Which is understandable. Because they liked what he made the third world people say. So, yeah. Wow. And I don't know. And then there was a controversy, you know, with Wall Street Journal reporting on the situation, and it seemed pretty okay. At times a bit biased, but most of it, for what it's worth, like, most of it was pretty fine. And they ended up, like, reporting on that. And this, like, YouTube dropped, like, the show that they were producing with PewDiePie, and Disney pulled out from, like, sponsorships with PewDiePie. A lot of people got very upset at Disney and at YouTube for that, and at the Wall Street Journal and whatnot. But in reality, it's just the consequence of his own actions. It's almost as if, like, hey, if you spread hate speech, even as a quote-unquote joke, you know, it's almost as if you might get a reaction out of it. And that reaction is not something that you didn't expect at all, because legit, you only said it because you know it's offensive, you know, and horrible and very edgy, you know? So of course there's going to be a reaction to it, especially with a subject like that, you know? And, yeah. Anyhow, there were lots of people that voiced their concerns about that, or voiced their support, or criticized YouTube for it, or whatever, you know, or Disney. But another YouTuber that I used to watch a lot was Jacksepticeye, and I sometimes do still actually put up his, like, Elden Ring videos, because lately he's been uploading like crazy on that, you know? And I just does that washer of yours work on hedges? I don't think so. I mean, it would wash, for sure. It might also cut there. Nice, we got through that. Fantastic. But no, essentially, what ended up happening was that there's a YouTuber called Jacksepticeye, who's a pretty good bean, as far as I know. And he essentially criticized PewDiePie, Felix, in a video, and said that Felix, like, came to the defense and said that Felix is not a Nazi or white supremacist or something like that, you know? But that he does push boundaries sometimes with his jokes, and that this joke was not okay, but also he's not a Nazi, you know, since a lot of people were, like, accusing PewDiePie of that. Pewds. And the video itself was very reasonable, if I remember correctly. It was just like, yo, what he did was, like, it's understandable from a business decision what YouTube did and what Disney did. The rail is still dirty, but not on this side. You know, it's understandable. Even if it hurts him as well, because Jacksepticeye was gonna be in, like, the on, like, that season of that show that they were producing, you know, for, like, legit half the time. You know, so it caused issues. If you think about it, you know, it's like, you know, it sucks, obviously, for all the people involved, but yeah. Jacksepticeye essentially just was criticizing PewDiePie but also defending him, saying that he's not a Nazi or anything like that, you know, and that he now understands that those jokes are also involving other people, you know? And I found that very good and very mature, actually, of him, you know? As someone that does, like, YouTube content that is sort of, like, high energy and at times maybe even a bit very child-oriented or tween-oriented and whatnot, you know? A video like that, coming from that voice, you know, that is super loud and whatnot, was pretty surprising to me. But it made me realize, oh, this is a mature adult who puts on an act, you know, in his videos, but knows when to stay quiet, when to be, like, calm and collected and whatnot, you know? But at the time, you know, that constructive criticism and defense and all of that was seen as him backstabbing his friend. And I'm like, I never understood that. I found that stupid, really, that, like, people acted that way, you know, attacking him for being a reasonable person and talking about nuance. And yeah, I don't know, I find, like, that if you have, like, a friend who tells you when you do when you fuck up, then that's a good friend. And a lot of people seem to take any negative, like, any negative feedback, any constructive criticism, you know, any criticism at all, in fact, you know, as something bad. And that's something that's been happening a lot as well, and I've noticed that a lot with friends as well. But, like, you don't have to agree with everything your friends do and say. You can be friends with people that have creative or political differences as well. This thing is called a spine, by the way. Yuck. But basically, I don't know, I think that's a good friend, you know, if they let you know and hold you accountable for what you do and say and everything, you know, and let you know before you mess up and perpetuate the, like, some levels of unhappiness and uncomfortableness and whatnot, you know, onto, like, other places. As a good thing. But a lot of people don't seem to think that way. Like, they seem to think in a very black and white manner, you know? You're either an anti-Semite or you're not, you know? Like, someone can have, like, sentiments that were, you know, like, you're either a Nazi or you're not, you know? But there's nothing in between for them, you know? So, if, like, for instance, if you were to, I don't know, I personally am left green, you know. I'm a liberal, I guess. I'm not sure if that's the right word. I'm a socialist. I believe in social equality and that people should have the same rights and same opportunities, no matter their race or sexuality or age. You know? Or, like, heritage and whatever. So, like, you know, even if you're black or Indian or German or Muslim or gay or whatever, you know, or female or whatever, you know, everyone should have the same, and I think that's pretty reasonable. Everyone should have the same opportunities and whatnot, you know? And when it comes to, like, economics, you know, different topic. Ooh, I jumped up there. When it comes to economics, for instance, I don't think that landlords should be able to raise the rent all the time or something like that, you know? Or that I don't think that the landlords should exist in the first place. I believe that having everything governed by the state, possibly, you know, and paying rent to the state would create a lot better situations, you know, that are fairer for the citizens. I believe that a certain wage just for being a citizen of a state that you live in should be good, you know, just so that people can focus on working in jobs they like or bettering themselves, pursuing a higher education, etc., you know? I think that would be a good idea. I mean, there are countries that do that. And it's a good thing because again, or that I've talked about it at least. I think, you know, that sort of stuff. I also think that the different states of Germany should all have the same education system. You know? More tea. And like, some people might agree with me on some stuff, you know? And some people might disagree with me on other stuff. But I think that's fine. I'm queer, you know? I do think that PDF files, as they are called, as some people call them, they're not part of our community, you know? At all. And I do think that they should get therapy. And that people, like, preventive measures, but also, like, help them. Because I'd imagine that most of what they go through, you know, is due to trauma. Rather than something inherent in them, you know? And I do have, like, lots of different opinions, is what I'm trying to get at, you know? And politics isn't just one type of topic, you know? But either way, I'm left. You know, I'm a left-wing bean, you know? I'm a lefty bean. And there are some people that will, all of a sudden, you know, when you disagree with them on one thing, you know, you're suddenly no longer left, you're Nazi. And that's stupid. That's not at all how the world works, you know. You don't suddenly turn 180 all of a sudden because of that. And in fact, if you do that, if you tell people that they're doing that, you know, that they're suddenly little Nazis, you know, for disagreeing with you on something, you know, then you're basically a Nazi. It basically makes it so that not only do you devalue, like, the word Nazi, but you also make it so that that person gets alienated and hurt, you know, by what you say, and they might, in fact, suddenly no longer support whatever cause they were supporting before because the people from that cause were calling them Nazis and shit, you know? Meanwhile, the other side doesn't do that, you know? And that's sort of how it works, I think. Like, a lot of people don't realize it, but, like, when you do that, you play a lot of people that you don't like into their hands, you know? You, like, actually help them out a great deal. And that's not good. And yeah. So, for instance, like, and a lot of people are seeing a lack of nuance there, you know? As in, like, oh, you don't agree with me on this one thing? That means you don't agree on me with me on everything, and that's not good. You shouldn't believe that way because it's not black and white like that. Politics is a spectrum, you know. Values are a spectrum, and it's not ones and zeros. We're not robots, you know. And yeah, a while ago with, like, the Hogwarts Legacy controversy, you know, when a game came out. There were a lot of people that were saying, you're not an ally to trans people anymore because you played the game. But those people that said that stuff were not trans. How are you supposed to deem who is or is not an ally to trans people if you're not the person that those people are allies to? You know, if you're not part of that group. I find it very stupid and iffy and actually dangerous as well. Like, if we suddenly let, for instance, white people say who is and who isn't an ally of black people, you know? That'd be stupid, right? We should give a platform and listen to the people affected. But even amongst those, trans people, for instance, the trans community, the non-binary community, you know, they're not a monolith. They're not a hive mind. They're all individual people with individual thoughts and opinions on topics. And they're all, they all share certain values, but they also might not share other values, you know. And a lot of people acted as if it's like black and white. You're either an ally or you're not, or you either agree or you disagree, you know. And personally, what I've done is this: I refuse to buy the game, you know. We talked about it the other day on stream, so that's why I brought up the example again. You know, I refuse to buy the game, for instance. And I will not stream it, even if I get it for free. If I were to get it, I might play it. Privately. But probably not. Even then. And as it stands... there's a lot of people that will stream it or record videos on it, and I will just not follow those people anymore, you know? And that's something that I decided personally. Why? Because those people are actively promoting it and making it so that other people might buy it, you know? They're advertising the game, essentially, by doing that. So I won't support them. Which I think is fine. And whenever I see them, and I still see it to this day, you know, I still see sometimes people that I liked to watch a lot, you know, I see them suddenly starting to stream that game or play that game, you know, so I unfollow those people. It's what I do. And that's my personal decision, you know, and whether or not someone agrees or disagrees doesn't matter, because in the end, like, if you think that's wrong or bad of me to do, then don't do it yourself, you know? It's not like my actions and what I believe in and what I think is alright, you know? Voting with your wallet, basically, or voting with your follow button, you know? It doesn't make much of a difference, but, like, I don't... Like, if I don't follow people, I won't rate them, for instance, you know? Etc. But, like, I personally don't have a problem with, like, other people. Like, for instance, if a person plays it privately, and I see that, you know? I'm not gonna call them out for it, you know? It's like, what you do in your private life, you know, is none of my business. It's non-ma. Like, Nonya, but for me. And it really shouldn't matter what you do in your freedom, in your free time. You know, what your pastimes are. Doesn't matter. If you like kicking puppies, you know, I'm gonna judge you for it, possibly, you know? But playing a video game? I mean, if you are kicking puppies, I will judge you. Got walls somewhere that are not done yet. So let's look at all the walls and see if we can see a little bit of white up there and whatnot. Walls. Oh, this one. There we go. Gallery bench and railings. Oh, this one. Right. But yeah. And a lot of people seem to see that as a problem. Like me doing that, like unfollowing people based on the games they play. And I think that's fully fine. Like if you were to watch a streamer, for instance, or YouTuber, and that streamer or YouTuber suddenly started doing something you didn't like, i.e. talk about politics. Like me. And if you didn't like that, you know, you'd probably be afraid that they might do more of that, you know? So, it's within your right to unfollow them, you know? If you don't like a certain flavor of Dr. Pepper, just don't buy it. You don't have to drink it. Why should you still drink it, you know? It's only obvious that you don't drink that one specific flavor then, you know? I don't like Dr. Pepper Cherry. I don't mind it. It's just that the, it's like, I like normal Dr. Pepper more, or Zero, or Energy, or Vanilla Float, you know, or Cherry Vanilla. I like those more than normal cherry. And I feel like a lot of people act as if, like, unfollowing someone because they played a game is the same as committing war crimes or something like that, or being a... whatever. I remember a while ago, when that whole controversy happened, there were a lot of people calling people that play that game Nazis, or transphobes, or TERFs, or whatever. And that's not how that works at all. You're not transphobic just for playing a video game, you know? And at the time, there was this YouTuber called Jagdman, who I used to respect a lot, you know? So I liked what the work he put into his videos and whatnot, and I followed like this. There was like some drama and stuff where I showed solidarity and support for him. But then he basically talked about this controversy and picked out the worst examples of people, you know, being upset about Hogwarts Legacy. Literal people calling others Nazis, you know, and whatnot. You know, you literally picked the worst he literally picked the worst examples of people being upset, you know, to then paint a broader picture about every single person that is upset about the game, you know, or people playing the game, etc. And I find that stupid, you know. That's like what right-wing people do, you know. Whenever people that are anti-woke, you know, are like anti-Antifa, you know, it's like also a weird sentiment to be in, you know. Oh, you're anti-fascism? So you're for fascism? Is because like double negation? Wait. You know, I don't know, weird sentiments and stuff. But yeah, what I wanted to get at is that essentially a lot of people will pick out the worst examples, you know, and make fun of them for ages. You know, to this day, there's still people that use a clip of a person saying, "Did you just assume my gender? You know, that person." You've seen the clip probably somewhere. And I still only use that example to paint a picture about all the people who are queer or allies, you know? And they do that and only use that one example or like two videos of a sort, you know, of two different people, you know? But they don't use any of like the triggered face or whatever, you know? They don't use that for anyone else. Why? Because there is literally no other example that is as extreme as those examples. And those are outliers in the community. You know? If they're even part of a community at all. I don't know. There could be actors for all I know. You know, people acting as like that just to make fun of it, you know? Which is a thing, you know? False flagging is something that people do. Especially on like Twitter and whatnot, you know? So what my issue kind of is with that is that like picking out the worst example, like if you only have one example to show of that sort of behavior, doesn't that mean that it literally is not something that is all that common or normal, you know? Obviously, but people that watch content that relies on that meme or that person, etc., to be watchable or reasonable, you know, is bad. It's not good. And people that watch it a lot of the time just don't question that stuff because they just want to hate. If I scroll, I can... No, so increase the area of effect while maintaining maximum pressure. Wait a minute. Oh my god. But we're gonna go back to this. But yeah, basically, people use the worst examples because it's the best to discredit a larger movement if you just take a look at the most extreme examples. And that's a level of polemic that is used in all politics, you know? Us versus them, you know? And then you show how much smarter and prettier and more amazing our side is. And how bad their side is, you know? And for that, you need people that are very extreme, you know? And for that, you need that us versus them thinking, and that very black and white thinking, you know, binary thinking, you know? You need that, or else it doesn't make much sense, you know? Otherwise, it doesn't work. Just like unemployed people, hey. Sorry. But yeah, long story short, I don't know. A lot of people are very think in extremes, and it's bad. And they shouldn't do that, I guess. We're not missing much here. I don't know what we're missing. Hey, we did it. Earn 50 stars in career mode. Fantastic. Just go on top of here and just look at all of this. Nice. So what I wanted to say was essentially that there's a lot of people that think without any nuance and just say, okay, you're either a Nazi or you're with us. You know, or you're either communist or you're with us. You know, either with us or you're a communist, you know? Which sounds good, I guess. I don't know. It's a level of like black and white thinking that is very unhealthy, and a lot of people do that. And a lot of people don't realize that if you use that, you know, and if you call people very bad words, you know, because they disagree with you on something, it actually harms whatever you believe in, whatever cause or movement you believe in or you're part of, you know? And that's something that people don't realize, that it's actually really, really bad to do that, you know? We can look over here at the fast laps of us just going in circles and then eventually working on the platform down there, the pool up here, and there we go. Great job, Dirt Finder. Scrubbed up kind of neat, did it? Beats me how you do it all with just a jet of angry water. Not that folks seem grateful. All I'm getting so far is gas from the baggy pants brigade, complaining that it don't look sick no more, which was surely the point. Anyways, we got 900 bucks for that. Now we've got a motorbike and sidecar and a vintage car over here. So we can do that later, probably. But yeah, what I wanted to say is essentially that there's a lot of people that do that, and it's bad, and people should stop doing it because it's like bad for their movement. And in general, in society, we should stop thinking in like black and white, or good and bad, or 1 and 0. You know, we're not robots, you know. And yeah, but that was Power Wash for today. I plan on releasing this as is, and then having a similar video up in the future as well, where I just talk about all sorts of stuff. And I'm thinking of giving people that support me on Ko-fi access to that earlier, like early access, you know? I feel like that could be a very fun thing to have, you know, and it will still be uploaded on YouTube. It's just that they see the private video, you know, beforehand. And I think that would be kind of fun little thing to do, especially since there's people on Ko-fi that support me there, and I want them to see that stuff. Today we ended up talking a lot about motivation and how we attach values to things that aren't really that valuable. But there's also nuance. We talked about nuance a bit, you know, and how people see criticism as like attacking you rather than being concerned for you. And good faith, I guess, as well, you know. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any thoughts on any of these topics, let me know. I know it's 2 hours, but hey, I hope someone finds some joy in this and treats it like an ASMR background noise kind of thing, you know? I feel like that would be pretty good. But yeah. Anyways, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. If you want to check out Power Wash Simulator for yourself, it's on Steam. There's a link to it in the description. There's also my socials over there, so stop by the Twitch stream, the Discord, Twitter, the blog, etc. I'm not too active on Twitter, but you know, it's still there. And I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.